Exposed. My incredible journey of forgiveness after my daughter-in-law's shocking wedding ban. Rachel felt the invitation thud onto the kitchen table, a postcard-sized flutter that altered the very fabric of her being. Jake's wedding to Lily was on the horizon, and the glossy paper seemed to taunt her with every glimmer of gold ink. The air was thick, almost suffocating. She stared, heart-racing, mind-reeling. How could they? The mother of the groom, uninvited to her only son's wedding. It was a slap in the face, an emblem of everything she'd fought against for years. It had taken all her strength to raise Jake on her own as a waitress at the diner, pouring coffee and flipping burgers while dreaming of brighter days. She remembered the late nights filled with worn-out dishes and tired smiles, each tip a reminder of her sacrifices. Now, as she watched the wedding plans unfold, complete with lily-covered centerpieces and silk invitations, Rachel felt the familiar prick of injustice. The realization hit hard. She'd always be on the outside to the diner. Amid the clinking of trays and the hum of morning chatter, whispers of gossip festered. Did you hear about the wedding? What will that poor waitress do? Must be bitter. Voices weighed heavy on her heart. She began to feel like a ghost, watching her joy seep away as she stood at the counter. The laughter of patrons echoed around her, but all she could hear was the silence where her name belonged. Then came the day Rachel confronted Lily and her parents. It was a small-town event, the kind of moment where everyone seemed to hold their breath, waiting for the fireworks. "You don't know me, but you're about to," she declared, her voice trembling but strong. With each word, she peeled back the layers of pain and perseverance. How she spent long nights dreaming of this moment. How her heart swelled with pride watching Jake grow into the man he was meant to be. She challenged their assumptions, squaring her shoulders against the weight of their privilege. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The confrontation stirred something in Rachel that she hadn't felt in a long time, a mix of vulnerability and strength. Instead of breaking down, she showed them the power of her love for Jake. But just as quickly, the harsh reality of her exclusion returned, an insistent echo in her mind. Each fleeting moment felt like it was slipping faster from her grasp, all while Jake worked tirelessly to knit both worlds together. He'd called, he'd texted, and yet every attempt felt like a fragile thread at risk of snapping. As Rachel returned home, she faced herself in the mirror. She caught a glimpse of her tired eyes, running a finger along the creased edges of the invitation that taunted her. Was she not enough? But with resolve growing inside her, Rachel vowed that tomorrow would be different. She would not just fight for a seat at the table. She would redefine what family meant in a way that honored her journey. A heavy tension loomed, and as she took a deep breath, hope flickered within her. The wedding day approached like a looming storm, and Rachel realized she wanted to face it, not just for herself but for Jake. The question hung in the air like unspent thunder. Could love bridge the rift between their worlds, or would it be another reason for sorrow? Rachel woke the next morning with the sun peeking through her curtains, a soft warm light that made her feel lighter. She sent a quick prayer to the universe, hoping today would bring clarity. The kitchen was quiet as she brewed a fresh pot of coffee, the rich aroma filling the air and momentarily soothing her nerves. She had a plan, but deep down, she knew each step would require courage she was uncertain she possessed. And the shop, chatter buzzed around her like busy bees. She poured coffee for the regulars, exchanged banter, but her heart wasn't in it. Instead, it seemed anchored in the uncertainty of what was to come, a wedding she wouldn't attend, yet was intricately a part of. The silent whispers followed her, even as she tried to smile and keep the rhythm going. Every time a patron mentioned Jake or Lily, it stung like a bee, but she reminded herself that their joy didn't diminish her love for her. By lunchtime, her mind was set. She couldn't let this moment pass without making a mark. Rachel put on her favorite dress, something bright and flowy that reminded her of summers spent laughing with Jake when he was little. She slicked on a hint of lip gloss, standing a little taller, feeling the weight of the day settle on her shoulders. The community hall buzzed as Rachel arrived, the wedding preparations in full swing. The decorations were stunning, flowers everywhere. A beautiful arch bursting with blooms. Guests milled about, and there was Jake standing joyous and beaming, dressed to the nines but with an unmistakable hint of worry in his eyes as he spotted her. "Mom!" he called, rushing towards her. Relief softened his sharp features. Before she could speak, he enveloped her in a hug. It felt warm and familiar, yet it twisted her heart. The love was there, but so too was the pain of their situation. "Dad?" He hesitated, his gaze flickering past Rachel to where Lily's parents were busy setting things up. Their approval mattered, she thought. "Are you okay?" he asked, concern etching lines on his forehead. "I'm here to support you, Jake. Always." The sincerity in her voice surprised even her. Maybe this was the moment she transformed the pain into something beautiful. Together they could navigate this. But as Rachel stood at the edge of the preparations, she caught sight of Lily. Dressed in a gown that sparkled, exuding confidence and joy, Lily's laughter echoed around the hall, completely unaware of the emotional minefield surrounding her. Every smile forced Rachel to confront how disconnected she felt from this moment meant to celebrate love. Just then, Rachel's resolve flashed bright. She moved toward the softly glowing lights, where the energy shifted, the air crackling with unspoken feelings. She thought about what she wanted to say and knew she needed to find Lily. To voice her intentions, to invite understanding amidst resistance. She hadn't come here to hold grudges, she was here to seek peace. As she approached, Rachel felt the weight of each step, her nerves trembling like newly fledged wings. "Lily," she called, her heart pounding through her chest. She caught Lily's attention, but this time it wasn't just about the invitation or the past. It was about breaking barriers. "Can we talk?" Rachel asked, finding a softness in her voice that hadn't been there before. Everything inside her ached for connection. Lily paused, surprise washing over her face, but something more softened her expression, a hint of curiosity. The wedding festivities paused around them, and Rachel realized the moment hung delicately in balance as she awaited Lily's response. Sure," Lily replied hesitantly, a sliver of wariness in her eyes, yet there was hope. The tension shifted. Rachel took a deep breath, feeling hope rise within. Maybe this was the first step toward bridging the gap. Maybe forgiveness and love truly could pull them together. But the doubt lingered, battling with anticipation. Would they forge a new understanding, or risk falling deeper into their own separate worlds? As Rachel and Lily stepped aside to talk, the question loomed and hung in the air, just waiting to be answered. Rachel found a quiet corner just off the main hall, where the sounds of laughter and celebration faded slightly. She glanced back, spotting Jake mingling with friends, a buoyant grin on his face. For that fleeting moment, it felt as if everything was right in his world. But in Rachel's heart, turmoil brewed. "Lily, I wanted to talk about some of the things that have been on my mind," Rachel began, trying to meet Lily's gaze with sincerity. It was strange, standing before the girl who was now part of her son's life, the girl she thought would be more like a daughter instead of an obstacle. But she pushed those thoughts aside. "Okay," Lily said, her tone measured. "What's on your mind?" Rachel could sense the tension tightening like a fist between them, the weight of unspoken words pressing hard against both their hearts. She could see the flicker of wary curiosity in Lily's eyes, a mirror to her own vulnerability. "Look, I know things got complicated before all this," Rachel gestured toward the wedding setup behind them, "but I want you to know how much Jake means to me. I know you care about him too." Lily's expression softened slightly, as if a wall was slowly cracking. "I care about him a lot, Rachel. I want him to be happy." Rachel nodded, encouraged. "He deserves all the happiness in the world. But I think he also deserves to have his family support him too. That includes me and you." Lily bit her lip, clearly wrestling with emotions. "It just feels like there's so much between us. I never wanted it to be like this." Rachel stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Neither did I. I thought I'd lose my son, and it terrified me. But I see now how important your bond is. I want to be part of this new chapter, whatever that looks like." A flash of hope grew in Lily's eyes, but it was laced with doubt. "It's not easy. I mean, we're getting married today. And I thought everything would be perfect." The words hung awkwardly in the space between them, like fragile threads waiting to be pulled apart or woven together. Rachel could feel the burden of the past pressing down on both of them, heavy and relentless. We can't change what has happened, Rachel replied, feeling her heartbeat quicken. But we can choose how we move forward. Lily took a deep breath, her forehead creasing with uncertainty. What if that still isn't enough? What if we can't make things right? Rachel felt an ache in her chest. I can't promise everything will be easy, but I believe we can find a way as long as we're both willing to try. Our hearts are more connected than you think. Lily's breath hitched, and for the first time, a tiny sliver of understanding appeared in her eyes. I have always wanted to be accepted. I didn't ask for the drama. Can we start fresh? Rachel felt a tear threaten to spill as emotion lapped at the edges of her heart. Absolutely. This is our chance. Just then a voice interrupted, calling for Lily. Wedding preparations were back on track, and they both knew their moment was limited. Lily hesitated, torn between the responsibilities awaiting her and the fragile breakthrough they had begun to forge. Look, can we talk again later? Lily asked, her voice quiet yet earnest. I want this too, Rachel. I really do. Yes, Rachel said, filled with a sudden rush of warmth. Tonight, after everything settles down, let us find a moment. A glimmer of hope sparked between them, fragile yet promising. As Lily turned to go, Rachel felt something shift within her, a sense of lightness that hadn't been there before. But as Lily walked away, the anxious whisper of doubt settled in her mind again. Would they truly find a way toward healing and connection? Could they really rewrite their story? Just as Rachel was catching her breath, Jake appeared, the sunlight catching his smile. Mom, you're here. I'm so glad, he exclaimed, not yet aware of the whirlwind just transpired. Rachel hugged him tightly, the warmth of his embrace providing ease, but in the back of her mind, she knew their work was just beginning. Jake, can we talk soon? She ventured cautiously, feeling the weight of sincerity pressed upon her heart. Sure, Mom, he said, his brow furrowing. What's up? She looked into his eyes, and the unspoken fears settled around them, echoing a question that lingered in the air, bridging across the celebration. Could love really conquer all? And before she could answer, the music swelled in the hall, merging with her rising hope, as the first dance beckoned them into the beautiful chaos of the day. Would this wedding become a new beginning, or simply another goodbye? That remained to be seen. The atmosphere inside the grand hall buzzed with excitement as guests swayed to the music. But Rachel's heart raced for a different reason. She felt tangled in an emotional web. As Jake pulled her toward the dance floor, she plastered on a smile, putting aside her worries for the moment. A mother's love often meant masking pain for the sake of her child's joy. Are you ready to dance? Jake asked, his eyes shining with anticipation. Of course, Rachel replied, taking a deep breath as they started to move. The rhythm was infectious, his laughter ringing in her ears, a perfect distraction. But even as they twirled amidst friends and family, her thoughts returned to the conversation with Lily. Mom, look at us. Can you believe I'm actually getting married? Jake exclaimed, spinning her playfully. Rachel forced a laugh. You've certainly grown into a man, haven't you? Feels like just yesterday you were learning to ride a bike. He chuckled, remembering that moment fondly. And you were right behind me screaming, don't fall. I thought I'd never hear the end of that. For a brief moment, nostalgia painted over her growing fears. But as they danced, Rachel's heart fluttered with unease. Would Jake truly be happy? Did he understand the complexities of his choice? As the song faded, Rachel noticed Lily scanning the room, the dress sparkling as it caught the light. There was an elegance to her that struck Rachel, a blend of innocence and resolve. Could it be possible they were both more alike than she realized? Excuse me for a minute, Jake. I need to catch my breath, Rachel said, weaving through the crowd, her heart directing her footsteps toward Lily. Mom! Wait! Jake's voice echoed, but she kept walking, driven by that desire for connection. Lily stood near the bar, her fingers nervously fidgeting with the edge of her dress. Rachel hesitated just long enough to see that same doubt reflected in Lily's eyes. It was a mirror of her own uncertainty. Hey, Rachel said softly, not wanting to startle her. Lily turned, her expression a blend of surprise and relief. Oh, Rachel. I was hoping to catch you about our talk earlier, Rachel started. But the moment suddenly felt heavy with all those unspoken words. Yes, I really want to talk, Lily whispered, glancing around as if someone might overhear her. There is so much on my mind. Rachel stepped closer, lowering her voice. I think we can help each other figure this out. How do you see us moving forward? I want to make this work not just for Jake but for us. Lily's voice quivered slightly, and Rachel realized how vulnerable they both were in that moment. Rachel nodded, feeling an unexpected surge of empathy. We're both scared, aren't we? We want him to be happy, but we have our own histories. Lily nodded, her face reflecting countless emotions: fear, hope, and a desire for acceptance. I never meant for this to get complicated. I just love him so much. Rachel felt her heart squeeze. I love him too. But we need to find a way to be a family, and I believe we can against all odds. Just then the music shifted, transitioning to a love ballad that wove through the air like a soft caress. As couples moved closer together, Rachel saw a glimmer of possibility in Lily's eyes. Maybe the dance floor wasn't just a stage for celebration, but a place where they could forge new beginnings. Can we chat later tonight? Rachel asked, hope fluttering in her voice. Lily smiled gently, her defenses softening. Yes, I do like that. As they parted ways, Rachel watched her walk back toward the crowd, her heart flickering with a cautious optimism. It was a small step, but in their world, those were the steps that mattered most. Rachel returned to the dance floor, her heart pounding a little less heavily as Jake pulled her back into the rhythm of the moment. The music, the laughter, and the warmth of their family enveloped her. Still, in the back of her mind lingered the question. Could they really mend what had been broken? Would this new connection lead to a deeper understanding, or would it all fall apart again? The night was young, but the stakes felt higher than ever. The lights dimmed slightly, casting a soft glow over the dance floor as Rachel attempted to focus on her son. Jake was lost in the music, a carefree smile across his face, seemingly oblivious to the weight Rachel felt pressing down on her. She took a deep breath and tried to shake off the lingering unease. Mom, come on. Dance with me, Jake urged, pulling her back into the beat. His laughter rang bright, filling her with warmth. Yet, every twirl felt like a reminder of the unresolved tension with Lily. She couldn't ignore it any longer. Jake, can we talk for a second? She forced her voice to come out steady, even as her heart raced. Sure, everything okay? He asked, arching an eyebrow, his playful demeanor shifting slightly. I've been thinking a lot about you and Lily and the future. I want to make sure you're both prepared for what lies ahead. His smile faded just a bit. Mom, I know what I'm doing. I love her. I know you do, honey. She took a step closer, lowering her voice. But love is just one piece of the puzzle. There are so many layers. What happens when reality sets in? He looked away, glancing at the crowd. I think you worry too much. People doubt their choices all the time. But this is me, Mom. I've made my choice. Rachel's heart sank a little. It's not about doubting you. It's about understanding what this means for everyone involved. Lily, she's young and we've got history. Jake's jaw tightened. You mean your history? Just because it was hard for you doesn't mean it will be for us. Her stomach nodded. I just want you both to be happy. That's all I care about. He sighed, a lost look on his face. Mom, you don't understand. She makes me happy. Isn't that all that matters? As Jake's words hung in the air, Rachel recognized the passion and innocence mingled in his voice. But the voices of doubt swirled around her, echoing Lily's uncertainty. Could they make it work? Can't we support each other on this? Rachel pleaded, sensing the distance growing between them. But before Jake could respond, Lily approached, her expression a mix of determination and apprehension. Hey, Rachel, can I borrow Jake for a sec? Jake glanced back at his mother. Sure, I'll be right back. Rachel watched as they walked away, surprised at how easily the two seemed to fit together. Yet, she couldn't shake the spirit of protectiveness churning inside her. She turned back to the dance floor, where couples swayed and families reunited in laughter. The music pulsed with life, but all Rachel could hear were the murmurs of their potential conflict. As her eyes drifted toward Lily and Jake, she caught a glimpse of them sharing a secret smile. It struck her, and in that moment, Rachel felt her heart split between wanting her son to pursue joy and fearing what it might cost him. Suddenly, from across the room, a loud laugh erupted, shattering Rachel's thoughts. It was her sister Zoe, cracking a joke that drew in a few other guests, their faces lighting up. Suddenly, the heavy atmosphere lifted slightly, They seemed oblivious to the emotional storm swirling just beneath their surface. Feeling slightly reassured, Rachel approached Zoe, who had a knack for grounding everyone. "What is so funny?" she asked, hoping to soak in some of that infectious cheer. "Just a wedding tradition. They want the couple to experience some funny moments before the ceremony," Zoe replied, gesturing dramatically. "You know, like a list of things to avoid in marriage." Rachel chuckled, but it felt hollow. "Is it really that simple?" "Of course not." Zoe shot her a playful look. "But there's truth in humor. And love often needs a good laugh to survive." Rachel took in that wisdom, realizing perhaps that was how she needed to approach things with Lily too. Maybe opening up over laughter could ease some tension. As the song changed, Rachel allowed herself to lose herself in the rhythm again. She glanced over at Jake and Lily, and her heart surged with a hint of hope. Maybe laughter could be their bridge. Just then, Lily caught Rachel's eye, and she waved with an almost conspiratorial grin. Rachel's heart raced. Was this a new beginning or just another fleeting moment of joy before the inevitable clash? The question lingered heavily in the air, leaving Rachel wondering if it was possible to nurture a love for her son, while also embracing the woman he chose. Could they maneuver the tightrope of family ties without losing what mattered most? As she swayed to the music, the weight of the night enveloped her in uncertainty. Rachel's gaze stayed locked on Jake and Lily, their silhouettes dancing playfully among the swirling colors and laughter. The brightness around the room felt almost surreal, a contrast to the tension that coiled tightly in her chest. Every beat of the music echoed her doubts, each passing moment a reminder of the fragility of happiness. Zoe nudged Rachel gently, disrupting her reverie. "Hey, want me to distract you with a game?" Rachel forced a smile. "What kind of game?" "Let us guess how many times people trip on the dance floor tonight," Zoe said, her eyes gleaming with mischief. Rachel laughed, the sound almost foreign to her ears. She wished she could drown out her worries with Zoe's light-hearted spirit. "Count me in," she replied, though her heart was still heavy as they played along. Rachel spotted Lily and Jake in a quieter corner, their whispers just audible above the music. Curiosity pulled her closer, even as a storm of emotions churned inside her. She wanted to respect their space but felt an inexplicable urge to make sure Jake was okay. "Rachel," Zoe called, noticing her wandering eyes. "Seriously, focus here." Rachel turned back with an apologetic smile, but her heart ached to know what the two were discussing. It was as if a magnetic pull had formed between them, a bubble of intimacy that made her feel like an outsider. Then suddenly something shifted. Lily's expression darkened for a fleeting moment before she quickly composed herself, flashing a smile to Jake. Rachel's heart sank as she registered this fleeting tension. Was something wrong? Did Jake notice? "All right, what is going on?" Zoe asked, following Rachel's gaze. "Nothing, just feeling a little overwhelmed," Rachel replied, her voice shaky. Zoe studied her thoughtfully. "You know, sometimes babies fall before they learn to walk. But they always get up again. You can't protect him from everything." Rachel sighed, absorbing her sister's words. "But this isn't just a stumble, Zoe. This is about love, real love, and the choices we make." "True. But love is about learning too." "Let him learn," Zoe said, a hint of wisdom in her voice. "And if he stumbles, we'll be there to pick him up." Rachel glanced back at Jake and Lily, her heart divided. She wanted to shield her son, but Selah echoed in her thoughts, had she not also learned through her own hardships? As she looked into baby Jake's eyes, now almost an adult, she wondered if history would repeat itself. Would he learn from her heartbreak? Or would he need to navigate his journey alone? Just across the room, Jake and Lily started to laugh again, a sound that cut through Rachel's thoughts like a warm knife through butter. For a moment, she felt the weight of her worries lift. Laughter was healing, maybe it was the key. But before she could respond, Lily caught sight of Rachel again. Their eyes met, and Rachel saw something flicker behind the bravado, a hint of vulnerability that made her freeze. What lay beneath that confident exterior? "Rachel!" Jake's excited voice pulled her from her contemplation. "Lily wants to tell you something." Rachel's stomach twisted with anxiety as Jake stepped aside to let Lily come closer. She recognized that moment as critical. Was this the chance for connection, or the precursor to conflict? Lily hesitated, her bright smile faltering for just the briefest second. Maybe the future depends on us getting this right, Lily said, nervously fiddling with her ring. We need to talk. Rachel's heart raced, a mixture of hope and dread flooding in. Would this be a bridge to understanding or an unraveling of their tenuous peace? The air thickened with anticipation as all eyes in the room seemed to settle upon them. What's the matter? Rachel found the courage to ask, though her voice trembled slightly under the weight of her emotion. Lily began, biting her lip as she searched for the right words. Rachel held her breath, bracing herself for the unexpected revelation. The moment hung between them, charged with uncertainty and emotion. As the music faded to a hush, Lily's gaze darted away for a brief moment, like she was searching for some invisible lifeline. But then she took a deep breath, her shoulders squared. I've been lying to you, she said, the words spilling out in a rush, as if the dam had broken. Every eye in the room seemed to hold its breath, the laughter and music fading into the background noise of Rachel's racing thoughts. Lying? What did that mean? Her heart raced as she tried to focus on Lily, but the revelation felt like a punch to the gut. Jake blinked at Lily, confused. What are you talking about? Lily remained locked on Rachel. I didn't tell you everything about my past. About my family. Rachel's mind raced. Was this the part where everything fell apart? She had hoped for growth, for connection, and here was a crack in their fragile peace. What do you mean? Rachel's voice was steadier than she felt. I come from a broken home, Lily revealed, her voice shaking now. My parents. They've struggled with their relationship for years. I guess I was scared that you would see me as just someone trying to escape my past. Rachel's heart softened just a little. She glanced at Jake, who now stood rigid, processing Lily's words. Despite her worrying instincts, she couldn't help but sympathize with Lily. Everyone had their own battles. Everyone has a story, Lily, Rachel said gently, hoping to ease the tension. You're more than your past. But that's just it. Lily pressed. I'm not sure where I fit in your family, or if I even deserve to be in Jake's life. I don't want to drag him into my mess. The silence hung thick, the crowd around them oblivious to the emotional storm brewing in this corner of the room. Rachel felt her heart pounding louder, not only for her son but also for Lily. She could see the fear in Lily's eyes, the desire for acceptance mixed with the fear of rejection. Look, I know I'm not the picture-perfect partner. Lily stumbled over her words. And my past? It's messy. But I love Jake, and I want him to be happy. That's why I'm afraid. Rachel took a moment to absorb her words. Here was this girl, so young and yet so burdened. Could she see the potential for a relationship beyond the shadows of their pasts? Rachel's protective instincts battled with what her heart felt was true. Love could transcend so much. Maybe it's time we start with honesty, Rachel said softly. You're not defined by your past, Lily. You're not alone in this. Just then, Jake stepped closer, his eyes moving between the two women. Mom, I want us to be honest too, he said, his voice firm but filled with uncertainty. If we're going to move forward, I need both of you to believe in each other and in us. Rachel's breath hitched. This was not just about her anymore. It was about fostering a new dynamic, a different family model that could survive flaws and mistakes. Lily nodded slowly, tears glistening in her eyes, and for a moment, Rachel saw a flicker of hope. Maybe they could forge something lasting out of fear and uncertainty. But the moment was shattered when a loud crash resonated from across the room, drawing myriad gasps and startled looks. As the crowd began to murmur, Rachel's heart sank back into a pit of anxiety. What now? What was that? Jake's voice was steady, but Rachel could hear the edge of concern. Let us check it out, Rachel suggested as she took a hesitant step forward. But just as they moved to the exit, Rachel felt a light touch on her arm. It was Zoe, her expression a mix of excitement and worry. Mom, I think you need to see this. The urgency in Zoe's voice sent another tremor through Rachel. What awaited them at the source of the commotion? Would this new crisis unravel everything they had just begun to mend? As they hurried toward the unfolding drama, the tension that had settled in the air swelled once more, and Rachel couldn't shake the feeling that more revelations were headed their way. Rachel's heart raced as she followed Zoe through the bubbly crowd, dodging around tables and weaving between clusters of guests. The music was now muffled, the excitement of the party replaced by a heavy sense of dread. What could have happened that warranted such urgency? Zoe, what did you see? Rachel asked, her voice slightly panicked. Zoe glanced back, her brow furrowed. There was a fight. I think it's about to get serious. Fear knotted Rachel's stomach. She exchanged a quick look with Jake, who grasped her hand tightly, his thumb brushing over her knuckles as if to offer reassurance. Together, they pushed through the final stretch of partygoers, a cluster of them murmuring curiously as they arrived at an expansive glass door leading outside to the patio as Rachel stepped through. Her breath caught in her throat. There, amidst a chaos of shouting and gasps, stood two figures. David, her ex-husband, and Gary, Lily's father. Jake stiffened next to her, recognizing the two men who had barely managed to keep the peace between their families in the past. Just stay calm, Rachel murmured to Jake, her voice smaller than she intended. Let us see if we can handle this without escalating it. But as she took a step forward, David's voice rang out, biting and loud. You think you can just drop in like some kind of savior? You don't know what it's like. Our lives are wrecked. Gary's face was flushed, tension visible in the lines etched around his eyes. You don't get to throw me into this, David. You don't even know what Lily has been through. The crowd murmured, soaking up the escalating drama. Rachel's heart sank, feeling the weight of her family's past and the wounds that had not fully healed. Mom? Jake's voice broke through. It was clear he was torn between fear and anger, and Rachel could sense his internal struggle. Let us just Rachel began, but at that moment David pointed a finger right at them. Look at what your daughter's done in the midst of all this chaos. You're blind to what's really happening. Rachel closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. It felt like their real lives were collapsing into this moment, unearthing old grievances and emotions better left buried. This was no longer just an argument. It was a war of words and accusations all tangled together, threatening to expose every fault they dared to hide. Enough! Rachel finally shouted, stepping forward, her voice authoritative. You have no right to drag us all into your fight. We're trying to build something here, and you're both ruining it. Every eye turned to her, the tension thickening as if it had substance. Her heart pounded in her ears, and she could feel the adrenaline surging through her veins. She had implored for understanding and compassion only moments ago, and now here she stood demanding growth and unity. But before anyone could respond, a scream sliced through the night, stopping Rachel cold. Lily! Rachel whipped around, spotting her at the edge of the patio, face awash with panic, hands clutching her hair as if to contain her spiraling emotions. This wasn't just a fight anymore. It was a reckoning. Lily! Jake shouted, breaking free from Rachel's grip, his voice full of desperation as he rushed to her side. As he reached for her, the whole world around them seemed to freeze. Rachel realized in that split second everything they had been building, every fragile layer of honesty and connection, could shatter in an instant. What had they stepped into, and at what cost? Would this be the moment that defined them, or the moment they finally began to truly heal? But just as she opened her mouth to speak, a new sound echoed from within the crowd. A gasp followed by a new sort of silence. The kind that demanded answers. What had just happened, and how would it change everything they thought they knew? Rachel's heart raced as she fought through the dense crowd. Her focus was entirely on Lily, who stood at the edge of the patio, a portrait of distress. She felt every pulse in her body, a tension so tangible it was like an electric current in the air. Jake was already by Lily's side, his arms reaching out to comfort her. Lily, it's okay, he murmured, but Rachel sensed the heaviness in his voice. Every syllable was laced with worry as she pushed her way closer. The crowd had shifted, faces full of shock and curiosity. She could see some people pulling out their phones, eager to capture whatever was unfolding. The air felt charged with anticipation, and she hated that her family's pain had become a spectacle. Lily! Rachel called again, urgency in her voice as she glanced over her shoulder at David and Gary, who had momentarily paused their argument. The men's faces were twisted in expressions of concern, but that was little comfort. Lily turned, her eyes wide and glossy with unshed tears, and Rachel felt her heart crack a little more. Mom, she choked out, her hands shaking. What are we going to do? Rachel reached her, kneeling down to be at eye level. We're going to get through this. Promise you. She took Lily's hands in hers, squeezing tightly to convey a sense of safety. But even as she spoke, A pit of dread swelled in her stomach. She searched Lily's face for answers, for any hint of what had set off this wave of panic. Looking around, she felt a tightening knot of frustration. Why couldn't they have one gathering that didn't spiral into chaos? Lily, what did you see? What scared you? Rachel pressed gently, her voice low. They were talking about you, about us, about everything, Lily stammered, her breath hitching. I didn't mean to overhear, but they were arguing and it got really ugly. Who? Jake interjected, glancing at David and Gary again. Everyone, Lily said, her voice dropping further as if she was afraid of being overheard. David was saying things about Mom and Dad. Things that aren't true. And then Gary just yelled and it got out of hand. I didn't want to believe it. Rachel's blood ran cold. David would do anything to make sure their past caused as much harm as possible. What exactly did he say? I just can't, Lily whispered, pressing her hands to her temples as tears escaped her eyes. Rachel wanted to reach out, to wrap her arms around Lily and protect her from the storm that loomed. Instead, she felt the weight of the entire party pressing in around them, judgments and whispers filling the air like garbled noise. Suddenly a voice broke through, bold and cutting. What are you telling her, David? It was Zoe stepping forward. Can't you see how your words are affecting everyone? You're tearing this family apart. The crowd shifted again, more people turning their attention towards David. Rachel could feel the collective pulse of the party, a mixture of fear, disbelief and confusion. Jake moved slightly in front of Lily, protective and defiant. Rachel felt the tide pulling around her, and a wave of anger surged inside. This needs to stop now. Right here, right in front of us, she shouted, emotion thick in her throat. As silence enveloped the patio, Rachel realized they were at a crossroads. They could either face this chaos together or allow the past to swallow them whole. But just then, another scream pierced through the heavy air, bright and shocking. It came from near the bar, and Rachel felt a chill run down her spine. She turned instinctively toward the sound, dread pooling in her stomach as she saw someone collapse. No, not another thing. What was happening? What else would this night bring? Rachel fought through the daze that settled over the crowd as the cries grew louder, drowning out the music that had once filled the air with joy. She felt a tight grip on her heart as more horrified gasps erupted. She pushed past the onlookers, fear clawing at her insides. When she got closer, her heart sank, a roar of panic filling her ears. There lay Lily's father, Gary, crumpled against the bar, his body limp, eyes shut tight. Someone call an ambulance. Rachel cried, her voice rising above the commotion. Jake was by her side, fear etched all over his face. The crowd fell into a horror-stricken silence, and all that could be heard was the faint whimper of confusion and concern. Lily rushed to her father's side, knees dropping to the ground beside him. Dad? Her voice was a whisper, trembling. The frantic beat of Rachel's heart echoed in her chest, her instincts screaming to protect. She knelt next to Lily, touching her shoulder gently. He'll be okay. Help is coming. But as she looked into Lily's tear-filled eyes, Rachel felt uncertainty settle heavily in the air. Is he breathing? Jake asked, voice choked with emotion. Rachel shook her head, willing her own fear to retreat and be replaced by resolve. Just keep talking to him, Lily. Talk to him. Seconds stretched into eternity as they knelt helplessly by Gary. Lily grasped her dad's hand, urgency pouring into her voice. Dad, please open your eyes. I'm here. You need to breathe. Time seemed to pause as if holding its breath alongside them. Across the crowd, Rachel's eyes met David's. Something shifted in him, a flicker of realization for all their past grievances. This moment was bigger than everything that had come before. Rachel was certain he felt the weight of accountability, too heavy to bear alone. Just then sirens pierced the silence, wailing closer. Relief flooded Rachel's veins like a long-lost friend. Help is here. She called out, feeling the tension begin to ease. The paramedics burst through the crowd, moving swiftly to assess the situation. Rachel's heart raced, but she held on to hope. She stepped back as the medical team took over, watching as they worked methodically, checking vitals, calling out instructions. Lily was still there, holding her father's hand, whispering encouragement as the paramedics prepped to move Gary to the stretcher. Rachel stepped slightly closer. He's a fighter. Tell him that. The words escaped her mouth unbidden, but they felt like a lifeline to both Lily and the man fighting for his life. A moment of shared humanity enveloped them in that chaos. And for the first time Rachel recognized how woven their lives were: two mothers, two daughters, bound by love and now vulnerability. Minutes later, Gary was on his way out, and the crowd began to disperse, still whispering, "It'll be all right." Rachel tightened her grip on Lily's shoulders. "We'll get through this together." Lily looked up, tears streaming down her face. "I don't understand why things have to be so hard. We just wanted today to be perfect." Rachel's heart ached for her. "Life always throws curveballs, honey. But we can still choose how we respond. Today means a fresh start, even if it began with pain," she whispered, knowing it could be a truth they both need to lean on moving forward. Just then she felt a hand on her back. It was Jake. "Mom, I'm so proud of you," he said softly. His gaze didn't waver, fixing on the weight that hung between them. "You're like glue holding everything together." Rachel smiled through her tears. "And it's okay to fall apart too. We're all learning." The aftermath lingered in the air, a complex tapestry of sorrow and hope. As Jake turned to Lily, Rachel sensed a new paradigm taking shape. No longer were they just a mother and daughter-in-law. They were comrades on a shared journey, moving towards healing. As the sun dipped low, casting golden hues over the horizon, Rachel took a deep breath, letting the calm wash over her after so much turmoil. As unfathomable as the events of the day had been, she felt a chain of connections begin to form, stronger, thicker, akin to a family forged in fire. This was their moment, a wedding illuminated by reconciliation, not just celebration. There would still be challenges ahead, undoubtedly, but now every heart stood a little less isolated, a bit closer together. As the lights twinkled in the hall behind them, Rachel realized each new beginning is wrapped in the soft embrace of forgiveness. They all deserved a second chance at love and happiness. And finally, she gathered both Lily and Jake into her embrace, feeling that warmth spread through them, rooted deep in trust and sincere commitment moving forward. "Let us make this wedding a new chapter for us all," Rachel whispered, feeling rejuvenated with a profound sense of purpose. She had fought for her family once. Now they would fight for one another. And as they shared this warm embrace, united in love, Rachel knew her journey of forgiveness had just begun, paving the way to a deeper connection and a promise of hope for tomorrow. Now, as you've come on this amazing ride with Rachel, it's time for you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Believe me, it makes a real difference. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. I want to hear from the real you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to spread these messages of hope and healing. Don't wait not even one more second to share.